This video I'm going to show you how to propagate blueberry bushes just from cutting the branches. So I first saw blueberries when I was young at a family reunion. They were all along the side of a fence. It was so fascinating. I was very excited to get them growing myself. Next time I saw them was up in Isle Royale, way up in Lake Superior, and they grew wild. It's just amazing just to kind of go along as you're hiking and just pull them off. So I want lots of blueberry bushes all around the yard. And I've seen videos, they're propagating with hormones, but you don't need to. I've been doing it a different way. I'm gonna show you how.
Go hold it and me go hold it by myself.
You can touch them gently. I'll hold them. You just touch them. You just touch them.
Me will hold them.
When I was contemplating doing this channel, I kind of asked myself, is there really a need? There's so many channels out there, people doing the same thing, and I really wanted to add new content. So I wasn't going to do a video on blueberry cuttings or fruit cuttings like this, but there were so many different people out there doing so many different ways, and I came across this one guy. He's got his degree in horticulture and, you know, master gardener, certified or something like that, I don't know. And he's just insulting the other videos, and I'm thinking, well, this is a community of gardening, and you're going to go and cut off all the other community by insulting them. And then he goes, I'm sorry, I got to do the same as he's doing. Then he goes and he says they don't know what they're doing. And then he goes and he does these cuttings in the middle of winter and says it takes 6 months to produce roots. Well, if you really want a contest, buddy, I get them in 3 weeks. All right. So I figured, all right, I don't see anyone getting them in as fast as 3 weeks. So that is rooting as soon as you can. And then this is, I think, 9 weeks, so it's kind of now got life all the way through. It's producing new leaves through there. 9 weeks, but I have a number of these, and I'm going to show you how to do it in 3 weeks. Okay, I think this is the fastest way you can find online. So as you see, the blueberries are pretty much gone. We're all done for the year. I might grab that one, eat that, a couple more, but we still have lots of new green. So how do you know which one you're gonna take? Wait, I'm gonna eat first. All right, so easiest way to understand this is there's 3 different sections of the branch. All right, there's the green, don't want that. There's the patchy, is that green and brown? We want that. Woody, we don't want that. All right, you got it? Patchy, that's all we need. Now patchy may not be as clear on some of them. For instance, this one is growing up. He wants to live. We know that that's going to be a really good candidate. So the patchy area, it's not as distinct as more of the older branches, but you can see it's got some green here, some brown here. That's what we want. We're going to take that right there, trim that off. I'm going to leave this because it maybe give me something new next year, just like here last year that we left it. We're going to take it right here under this node, put it in sand. So this method can be used for any bush or tree, I imagine. I use it only for fruit. Here's a plum tree. I wouldn't do it with this one because I had this plum tree, and plums in general in Florida are very hit or miss because they may bloom before the last frost and then all the flowers die and you get nothing, which is what's happened with this guy 2 years in a row. Neighbor's tree actually got some plums. But the concept is the same. There's 3 parts. There's the green. There's the green, there's the patchy, and there's the wood. You want the patchy. So this stuff will grow up in about a year or 2, and this is actually better patchy. So it's kind of, let me see if I can get it focused in here on there. Yeah, you can see brown spots on green. That's what we want. So this is really brown, so it's a year old. Here's some patchy. Where's so we get it in the picture? It's better. This is more obvious right here. Brown, patchy on green. Let's check the apple trees. Okay. Green, patchy, some bugs too, and wood. Patchy wood. All right, same for blackberry bushes. Green, patchy. Let's get a good view here. Wood. Got it? For me, all fruit bushes, fruit trees have this that I've seen, at least that I do. There's green, patchy, and wood. There's patchy, we want that. So this is our setup. Bucket, pot, sand it all the way, filled up to the top with a little peat moss on the top that helps keep moisture in. Always leave an inch or two of water in the bottom of the bucket. 3 weeks, you have new growth. And there we go. If you can't find white sand in your area, you can order it online. It's as easy as that. Now that I've collected my sand, I'm gonna add a little water. Now for pruning and cutting, I like titanium coated. Let's see if I can get the label in the picture here. Titanium coated, they keep it cleaner, rust free, and always sharp. However, for rooting, I don't want pruning, I want box cutter. I want a long slice. I want to increase the surface area of the branch as much as possible. All right, so I'm gonna leave one green leaf just because I want that one to come back. It's very good. There we go. It's very good. Maybe I can get another one next year. So I'm gonna take off all the leaves up to about the top of the soil here. I want this all the way to the bottom, maybe an inch from the bottom. So I'm gonna take it up to about 6 or 7 inches high. Now that I've removed the leaves, I can cut it. All right, so I don't know if I can get this in the picture here, but I'm gonna try it. If I can just kind of show, let's see, here we go. Sit down. Yeah, so I just wanna cut it longwise, about an inch, inch and a half. So I got about an inch on there. It's one cut, all right? Don't dilly-dally. You got to be certain you know where you want it. I got it right below the this bud here, and one cut, nice, clean, and sharp, and sudden. All right, then put it in. That is it. No hormones, nothing else, except a little water and a little bit of peat moss on the top to keep moisture in. Water that in a little bit too. Very dry peat moss. It's gonna take a while to absorb that. Keep the leaves nice and clean. All right, now you may have seen from other videos that they cut off everything. My neighbor who taught me this method, he cuts off everything that's grown except maybe a couple leaves. All of this fresh new growth he cuts off. And I think the benefit to cutting off is that way you can see when it's rooting because you get new growth. But I want to show you why I don't cut off. If this stem would have gone all the way up, I'll show you why I don't cut it off. Because it's still alive. Look, that's new growth right there at the top. That's not focusing. Right there at the top, that's new growth. This is still alive. There's no reason to cut that off. I don't see any benefit to it. You're gonna lose these leaves. And when it grows a little bit more, I'm gonna cut it right here. Once these kind of grow above it, I'm gonna cut it off. But leave as much that's alive and healthy on the plant as you can. You don't want too much because it's gonna take too much energy. But one branch with a couple leaves is not a big deal. These all died, they're gonna die. But new growth, the stem is still good. New growth is still continuing here. Like I said, once this bushes out, then I'm gonna cut this off. But I wanna leave as much of the plant as I can within that boundary. Last step, water in the bottom of the bucket. I'm gonna fill it up all about 7 inches for the first day or two. It's only about 3 inches, but I want to see the water rise. Yeah, okay, we're gonna keep going.
And that's good. My neighbor uses drip on his when he does this. I don't. I like buckets, but you can choose as you want. And that is it. In 3 weeks, I'll start seeing new growth. I might take off some of the dead growth, but that is it. No hormones, nothing. Just simple, easiest way to propagate in the world. Now you can see when you're starting to produce root because you'll start to get the greens growing. At that point, you know you have a new blueberry bush. Every plant, whether it's a blade of grass or an apple tree, lives in two very different worlds at the same time. One in our oxygen-rich atmosphere and one below ground. And those two worlds need to communicate properly. Now there are 3 different methods for propagating a plant, probably more, but 3 main ones. There's one direct seeded. This plant is direct seeded. It's going to do very well. It was planted in my garden and replanted here in this environment, in this world, unchanging from the day it was born, or germinated, I should say. They're not born. From the day they're germinated till the day I'm going to pick apples off of them. The second method is this. This sorry guy was grafted, not by myself, bought at a big box store. Now, what do you notice happening here? We have 2 different worlds that are not communicating properly to each other. Something happened above ground and the tree doesn't really know if it's alive or dead. This is coming, looks like it's from below the graft. Yes, below the graft. So the other tree is still alive, but we don't know what that tree is. So we're gonna take that out. It's obviously, it's an apple tree, but whether or not it's a crab apple or a Fuji apple, which is what I bought at the store, we don't know. And this is an issue with grafting. Now, grafting has its place. Where is its place? The best way is if you're going to have thousands of apple trees, you want an apple orchard, and you have a regular supply of new trees being, cut and propagated. Grafting is the way to go because you're not taking them off the property into a very different environment. This plant could have been shipped from Michigan and bring it down to Florida. It doesn't do very well. Now I got another one that I bought from the same box, big box store, and it's doing fairly well. All right, so it's a completely different tree. So now we have 2 different trees living in 2 different worlds at the same time. Now what I notice, and you may notice too, is there are certainly not enough leaves here compared to my seeded tree as earlier shown. See all this branch, it's got some budding, but it's the middle of summer. It's just not doing what the seeded tree did. Again, by comparison, this one is all over the place. All sorts of new leaves, nonstop. All right, so seeding is great, but what's gonna happen is I'm gonna have to graft this or take a branch off of it if I like it and plant it somewhere else. Here's a similar situation. Got a Hamlin orange. It was probably born in a greenhouse in perfect, in a very nice, comfortable atmosphere. Had a really hard frost this past winter and killed the tree. Now, I don't really know if it's growing above or below the graft. So it's really kind of uncertain whether or not I'm gonna get this going or not. So for me, yes, I'm going to graft trees, but I'm gonna do it only from trees that I germinated in this area. Or, maybe I got a neighbor who has a really nice tree. But if that's the case, what everyone around here does, if somebody's friend has a plum tree or an apple tree that's producing a lot, we just take a branch off of his tree and no harm done, and we propagate it that way. There is an issue, like I said, for if you're bringing them from out of town or a different climate, where there's different bacteria, different fungi, different weather, all of these factors are going to affect how well your plant does. And this one seems to be doing pretty good. Cherry tree, really looking like it's coming around. I pruned it last year and it's doing fairly well. So got some weeds growing in there. And this is pretty much my entire yard. Does fairly well. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. So those are the 3 ways mainly if you want to propagate a plant. You got it from seed, you cut the branches, or you graft them. All right, they definitely have different value depending on the situation. But that, if you're going to do just the cuttings, that is the fastest way I've seen. They do it around here. It's kind of known how to do it. The sand is good for it.
I don't see any reason for hormones. You could try hormones. Maybe it would work faster than 3 weeks. I'd love to know. If you have any problems, put them in the comment. Let me know what you think. There's plenty of room on this beach for visitors.
I hope this video helped. I got another coming, so like and subscribe to catch next week. Before I go, I want to share something with you. I know firsthand the frustration that comes with spreadsheet garden planning and unreliable apps. That's why my son and I created the Garden Optimizer. It's a super simple tool with just 4 pages and accessible with 4 buttons. One page is your garden parameters, a second is for your climate parameters, and a third is for your crop definitions. But the real magic happens on the garden page. We took every measure to make the design of this page slicker and more convenient than any garden app out there. You can click on any given day of the year and the AI will show you what you should have in the ground and at what spacing. You can choose to plant in rows or staggered for the best profits or the laziest, lowest maintenance garden. And if you're late at any given task, just click a button to re-optimize and the AI will reroute your plan. But we want your feedback before release. To get involved, pause this video and go to gardenoptimizer.com. That's www.gardenoptimizer.com. Sign up for our newsletter and we'll contact you shortly. Until then, man up and grow.